I am, and it's cold in most part of wherever our members are. And welcome to another fabulous Friday evening where we will be talking about this fabulous book that we've been reading. And the book we've been reading in the Online Money Book Club is titled Atomic Habits by James Clear. And we've been loving this book and sharing notes on what are the transformations we are able to bring into our environment, and then into into the different areas in our personal lives. So we shall be sharing more from how the reading's been and what changes we are trying to fit into our life. So I warmly welcome everybody. The purpose of the Online Money Book Club is really to help women who are new to finance, find that space where women can come in and talk openly about money. Because at Women on Wealth, we read books on personal finance, investing, habit and mindset building. And if you ask why habit and mindset building, because these shifts are required, a shift in mindset to build wealth, and a shift in our habits, and sustain the good habits that we learn along the way in the area of finance and investing as well. And that's why we have plugged in reading books as well. And so for anybody who's new and you're watching, the description of this video has a link to join our Telegram group, where we read and share our insights throughout the week. And once a week, we come online on a Friday evening at 6 on Zoom to come in and read together and discuss. So for everybody who's joined in, welcome. And how we will flow is, let's first begin by sharing what are some things we tried from the book this week. What are the wins? What are the fails? I have been sharing my failure notes in the Telegram group with everybody, and how I failed on yet another thing this morning and why. And I've been trying to dig deeper into, hey, what are the cues, and what are the cues you guys are creating, so that I can we can share some good practices, and then we will move on to reading from chapter 8 today. So I will invite some of you to come and read for the community, and then we will close with another discussion from what we read today and what we're taking on for the rest of the week. So inviting everybody, I warmly welcome all the members who have joined in live on Zoom with me. Rakhi, Ritu, Saili, Purva, Richa, Meenal, and Garima. So how was the week reading chapter 6, 7, and curating the environment? What's up, guys?
Sometimes the cues are, I need stronger cues. I mean, I need cues that will actually absolutely want to push me to do it.
I find this really funny because, again, same boat. I'm in the same boat.
No, because the cue of being inside the bed in a Rajai is stronger than the shoe outside the bedroom.
So true, Garima, especially in these winters.
Yeah. That's why I like the burpees idea, right? That if you're getting up in the morning, even just once, because if the moment you get your body active, you are up. The problem happens when you gulp down that warm water and you get back inside the bed because, it looks appealing. So I think I need to, if not burpees, just jump to get the body up.
Yeah, that's true, because burpees is quite, I think it's not a very easy exercise. It's quite difficult that way, and it really warms up the body. Yeah, it really warms up the body, and it makes you feel really good, because that's how I first started, my journey when I began working out. And burpees is one of the best exercises, and it really gets you in that mood very quickly. So yeah, good job on that, Sheetal. I really love that too.
Yeah.
Yes, I was also very proud of this. And then I also, as I got up this morning, I learned that actually my cue is making the bed is my cue to now, and then, or setting my feet on the ground, because I am not, I had put the yoga mat at one corner of the room. Then last night, like, I had a light bulb moment where I said, no, the yoga mat will go right next to my bed, like a mat, so that the moment I wake up and I place my feet on the ground, it hits the yoga mat, right? I mean, a cue cannot get stronger and closer than this, where my bare feet are touching it, and yet I don't do it. Then God help me. So I then now one thing is leading into another, and I am now more inspired to, hey, maybe I can also set up the environment. Maybe finally I might find find the use of an aroma candle or light or something, so that I can start creating the beautiful environment that encourages me. And can that be a cue to maybe just sit down for 2 3 5 minutes of meditation? Because I find that really difficult, but I could see how these things are now connecting, or my mind is working maybe more, that I'm reading. And definitely another thing is that at night, my cue is when I get into the bed and I pick up I still have the phone in my hand. So then I read. Last night I almost felt like not reading, but then I put a message in the group as well, and then I just went back to the book and scrolled through some of the lines. And so yeah, it's been an interesting week. Of course I failed. I said that today at 8:30 I will sit down with my structures, and I did not. I tried to I went to the kitchen and then I tried to think, hey, what time did I say I will do something? I had not set the alarm, and hence, you know, uh, I just did not follow. So
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, Sheetal, I think the book mentions something about, you have a time and you tell yourself you'll do certain things at that point. But rather than that, set a cue in the sense that, you already have a trigger taking place, an action taking place, and you just follow up with
Mm,
the next action rather than waiting for a specific time.
yeah. So yeah. So I set my intention, but just setting intention is not enough. Again, we have to ensure that there are enough cues. So the alarm is a cue, or finishing my tea is a cue. But I think I just did not have the intention, perhaps, and hence it failed.
Yeah, like on that same note, I don't mean to be the devil's advocate here, but it's also very possible to ignore the cue, right? Like how you were mentioning about the yoga mat earlier, Sheetal. You could just walk all over it and not do your burpees. So how do make sure that the cues also stick? I think that probably becomes another layer of work. I'm not quite sure if others will also, find the same challenge or not. Also, you mentioned about you want to hear about our failures for the week. So my failures are I failed to read the chapters that we were supposed to, the club. But yeah, your nighttime reading habit, I really resonate with that because that is something of an identity. If I had to speak of it in identity, it's been on and off since my childhood. So yeah, it's not really stuck. But then when it sticks, it really sticks in a very big way, and especially more so now because I have been reading Sapiens for some weeks now, and it turned out that I the moment the clock strikes 11, the book sort of comes to my head. So no matter what, I have to go and read the book. So I try to get to the book as soon as possible whenever I'm done with my cleaning or whatever I need to do, and I quickly go and sit with the book. I read the book at least for an hour, and I have noticed that whenever I read Sapiens any other time of the day, I cannot really enjoy it. But I can only enjoy it, at that particular cue that is of 11 when the clock strikes 11. So yeah, I think I'm already experiencing one of the phenomena from the book. Lots of failures, yes, down the line, but it's quite fun to try to overcome them as well.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. It is fun trying to see, what's happening, and how we overcome them. Lovely. Thank you. Yeah. I think it's the first time we've spoken in a very, very long time about making it fun, right? And that takes me to the line where he in the book says that having a routine actually creates freedom for us. Um, how we may feel that having a routine or having all the set habits may make us feel restricted, but no, it does not take away freedom. It creates freedom. And what Meenal said last time also stuck with me, creates a rhythm um, out of randomness. So yes, so I would like to listen to others. How's the week been? Anything you tried? Any cues you set?
What I like in this 6th chapter ending paragraph, that's beautiful. If your space is limited, divide your room into activity zones: a chair for reading, a desk for writing, a table for eating. So you are on table, you're eating, you're on desk, you're writing. And I am planning, कि ऐसा ही कुछ करेंगे because of this online schooling, homework from home, chargers, laptops, everywhere, any room you go, सब फैला रहता है. Anyone is sitting anywhere. I'm just about, on it. This is the designated place. यहीं पे बैठ के online schooling करना है. You will not be, or if I am doing something, so I'll be sitting, like I do my crochet work. So even with kids, even I roam here and there, like on sofa, sometimes on dining table also, sometimes, right now also I'm carrying this with me. So I'm planning this. I like this idea. This can be a cue, okay? And you're at that space and you will be concentrating on that work and you will enjoy ultimately, or at least finish the designated task. Suppose you have decided we'll finish this chunk, we'll study for some few hours or at least 1 hour. So if you are at designated place, you can do it.
Thanks for sharing that. I like that idea. And I mean, and I'm envisioning how, if we have a small space and if we have the space, a certain context for each space, then, you might go the extra mile and, create that environment, deck it up in that way so that it's okay. It's work from home space, it's creative space and all that. All right. Anyone else who'd like to share how the week's been? How's the reading going? What are some cues you are setting in your environment?
Sheetal, I would like to go next. Raji here.
Yes, Raji, please.
Okay. Yeah. One is my reading is not going very good. That's the first thing. Okay. So that is when I started analyzing. There are so many other habits I pick up and I follow so strongly, but somewhere reading is one thing which falls through the crack all the time, right? So I was just trying to understand what is it I need to do, because I'll get started, something else comes up, all of that takes over, and this somewhere becomes the last priority. I will try to say, okay, by the end of the day, I'll catch up. And finally, I'm done with it and I just go off to sleep, right? So that is why, I'm just trying to figure out. So one of the things today when I was thinking through, one thing which struck me is basically bits and pieces from the book, cues, habit stacking, all those. I mean, it was all just running in my mind. And also what we do in the community for other financial things. So I thought of doing a SWOT analysis on myself over this weekend to identify my strength, my weakness, my opportunities, and my threats, whatever it is, right? And once I identify what my key strengths are, somewhere along with that, I want to put reading as a habit stacking so that it doesn't fall apart kind of thing. So I wanted to try that out. So I'm just telling it openly so that that is the way I'm going to commit myself, that I do it over this weekend and get started, so that next week when we are trying to meet up, hopefully by then, I have put that in practice for some time, and I will have something to share with you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Raji. And to support you, something from the book is about the identity you're trying to create. So what's the identity, and then maybe that is also another conversation that will help you.
Yes, that's also something I'm working on, because I last week I couldn't meet up with you all. Prior to that, I did tell, right? So I want to make my identity aspects very clear. So for 2022, I'm going to set my identities.
Okay, Raji is stuck. Okay, I think Raji will rejoin. Anybody else would like to share anything you want to share? How's the...
I have a question for everyone out here. I just want to know your opinion. What do you think of sticky notes as cue? Like, do you think that they can count notes on or instructions on sticky notes as cues? Can they count as the kind of cues that the author maybe talks about or talk about? Can they really be helpful? Because I have been trying to use sticky note as a cue for this one particular thing I have to do every morning, and this is related to my fitness goals. And despite having a cue right in front of me every time I wake up, I forget to do that particular thing. And I forget to do it almost every day. Maybe a few days in a week, I'll remember it right away. But then almost on most days, I have to remember it very. So there is a mental load as well, despite having a cue. I cannot keep that thing out in the open because it's actually inside, which is in my fridge. I just need to remove it out. What kind of a cue can I probably maybe build? And with that, can sticky notes really act as effective cues?
What I did was I did it for not for me, for my son actually. So we have a blackboard where in order for him to get into habit of for example cleaning his room, cleaning his bed, or setting up his school bag, etc. But honestly, it didn't work because then you have to ensure that you are looking at it at some point in time, and so in his case it didn't work. But setting up reminder on the phone or on email, that sometimes has helped me. It's a different thing. I may kind of dismiss the reminder and not choose to do that activity, but from a reminder standpoint, if it's a time bound activity which I have to do or I want to do, then I tried putting it on the calendar rather than using sticky notes.
I agree with you on that, Garima, in some way. But then another issue can also crop up. So, like I mentioned, there'll be some things which you need to do in the mornings, like right when you get up. So this particular thing that I was talking about is something that I have to do after I wake up because my meal actually is dependent on that. But then my other goal could also be that I don't want to be checking my phone in the mornings.
Correct.
Like that's not the first thing I want to. So there's a thing that the author also talks about, like try not to clash two cues together or maybe two goals together in a way. So reminders and all. I have all my other kind of reminders on the phone, but I don't want to keep this one because I'm also trying not to look at my phone or scroll to my phone in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So these kind of clashes also in a way occur. So what do you think could be a solution? I understand the board, the blackboard cue, the sticky notes cue, because it's very easy to ignore them. Even reminders is also easy, but then they persist on your phone, and which is why sometimes it becomes difficult for you to ignore. That is also true. But yeah, what do you do when you're trying to build good morning habits?
If we just follow the book, then maybe what's the thing that you are doing right before it or as soon as you wake up is what you're saying. So one thing clearly where you're keeping the sticky note is not working because maybe you're not going there right after you wake up. So yeah, so definitely we need to change the place or change the way we keep the reminder. Maybe keeping a note under the pillow if you tend to, you know, make your bed in a way where you arrange it, I don't know, or on the side of your table. Is this, since you said it's also related to your health, right? I don't know, sometimes not regularly, I may watch something related to my health the night before, and I will spend only maybe 5-10 minutes. You watch a video on YouTube related to some particular health or nutrition I may be interested in, you know. But yes, clearly the queue is not working. And stickies, I had also thought about it, you know, okay, maybe keep stickies everywhere of something that is very, very important, you know.
It makes you feel like you're building an identity of an organized person using all sorts of colorful sticky notes and having it in your room. But yeah, I think that's another experience of mine with sticky notes. It gives your ego a boost, probably, or whether they're really effective.
I don't like sticky notes at all. I'm not a sticky note person because it does not work for me. I am also not a to-do
I think
list.
moreover, correct. So you can have it as a sticky note, but eventually the cue should trigger the urge to do it, is what I think. If the sticky note is not making me do it, then it's not helping.
No, but the cue is not the urge. The cue will only remind you, okay, now next what should follow. It's the craving, the result, and all of those things, right?
Sequential action.
But cue is only, okay, next now.
It's a habit. Correct.
Then
It becomes a habit then.
the craving and all of that. Maybe you got to look at the entire flow then. And am I craving
Yeah.
enough?
Exactly. I think the flow also probably has to be uniform, because this particular thing that I'm talking about, like I'm experiencing mixed success, when it comes to cues, and what you just mentioned, the cue, an action cue, that action A has happened and then action B should happen. So I do experience success on that front as well. But in terms of the flow that you mentioned, I think if it is very dense, like there are too many actions to be done at that particular time, maybe you will not experience as much success and something is bound to be left out. So okay, I'll just say what I actually am supposed to do. After I wake up, the first thing, obviously, like I need to brush my teeth, but along with that I also have to remove my meal for the day, which is chicken. So it's in the freezer, I have to remove it out. That's all I have to do. But then at the same time I also have to brush my teeth. But the cue thing that you mentioned, where I've experienced success, is that after I have brushed my teeth, I immediately, reach out to my bottle of aloe vera juice, and I have 30 ml of aloe vera juice. And this is something that I've built over the past 1 year. So this is a new habit, and that cue has really, it has set in really well. But then, like you now, from the way I have mentioned, there are at least 4 or 5 actions that I have to do at the same time, and probably the flow is too dense.
I found the solution. That aloe vera juice bottle will have the list of things you will have to do next. Go take out the chicken.
Good idea.
The list should go on the aloe vera juice.
Use a transparent tape, the cellophane tape, and paste it. So even if it gets wet, it won't smudge.
Yes, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yes. Thank you so much, guys. I'll try that. Yeah, this should work.
Let's try.
I'll let you know.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Now we're having fun. Okay, so let's read some parts of the book today, and really excited to move to the next segment. So chapter 8, and I will pull up the book and inviting nominations. Who would like to read for the community? Okay, this is the second law, make it attractive, right? And then number 8, how to make a habit irresistible. Maybe here we will find the answer that we have not been able to find in the previous chapters. And there's so many other books, maybe. Okay, do we have a nomination who's reading for all of us? Inviting
If
someone.
nobody will read, then I will read. That's not a problem.
Thank you. Okay, Garima, you have been unanimously voted as the person who will read. Okay, here it is, guys. Let's go.
Oh my, irresistible. How to make a habit irresistible. Okay. In the 1940s, a Dutch scientist named Nico Tinbergen performed a series of experiments that transformed our understanding of what motivates us. Tinbergen, who eventually won a Nobel Prize for his work, was investigating herring's gulls, the gray and the white birds often seen flying across the seashores of North America. Adult herring gulls have a small red dot on their beak, and Tinbergen noticed that newly hatched chicks would peck on this spot whenever they wanted food. To begin one experiment, he created a collection of fake cardboard beaks with just a head without a body. When the parents had flown away, he went over to the nest and offered these dummy beaks to the chicks. The beaks were obviously fakes, and he assumed the baby birds would reject them altogether. However, when the tiny girls saw the red spot on the cardboard beak, they pecked away just as if it were attached to their own mother. They had a clear preference for those red spots, as if they had been genetically programmed at birth. Soon Tinbergen discovered that the bigger the red spot, the faster the chicks pecked. Eventually, he created the baby birds. Eventually, he created a beak with 3 large red dots on it. When he placed it over the nest, the baby birds went crazy with delight. They pecked at the little red patches as if it was the greatest beak they had ever seen. Tinbergen and his colleagues discovered similar behavior in other animals. For example, the gray-lag goose is a ground nesting bird. Occasionally, as the mother moves around on the nest, one of the eggs will roll out and settle on the grass nearby. Whenever this happens, the goose will waddle over to the egg and use its beak and neck to pull it back into the nest. Tinbergen discovered that the goose will pull any nearby round object, as a billboard ball or light bulb, back into the nest. The bigger the object, the greater their response. One goose even made a tremendous effort to roll a volleyball back and sit on top of it. Like the baby gulls automatically pecking at the red dots, the gray-lag goose was following an instinctive rule. When I see a round object nearby, I must roll it back into the nest. The bigger the round object, the harder I should try to get it. It's like the brain of each animal is preloaded with certain rules for behavior. And when it comes across an exaggerated version of that rule, it lights up like a Christmas tree. Scientists refer to these exaggerated cues as a supernormal stimuli. The supernormal stimulus is a heightened version of reality, like a beak with 3 red dots or an egg the size of a volleyball, and it elicits a stronger response than usual. Humans are also prone to fall for exaggerated versions of reality. Junk food, for example, drives a reward system into frenzy. After spending hundreds of thousands of years hunting and foraging for food in the world, the human brain has evolved to place a high value on salt, sugar, and fat. Such foods are often calorie dense, and they were quite rare when our ancient ancestors were roaming in the savannah. When you don't know where your next meal is coming from, eating as much as possible is an excellent strategy for survival. Today, however, we live in a calorie-rich environment. Food is abundant, but your brain continues to crave it like it is a scarce. Placing a high value on salt, sugar, and fat is no longer advantageous to our health. But the craving persists because the brain's reward centers have not changed over approximately 50,000 years. The modern food industry relies on stretching our Paleolithic instincts beyond their evolutionary purpose. A primary goal of a food science is to create products that are more attractive to customers. Nearly every food in a bag, box, or jar has been enhanced in some way. if only with additional flavoring. Companies spend millions of dollars to discover the most satisfying level of crunch in a potato chips or the perfect amount of fizz in a soda. Entire departments are dedicated to optimizing how a product feels in our mouth, a quality known as orosensation. French fries, for example, are a potent combination, golden brown and crunchy on the outside, light and smooth on the inside. It's Friday. Other processed foods enhance dynamic contrast, which refers to items with a combination of sensations like crunchy and creamy. Imagine the gooiness of melted cheese on top of a crispy crust pizza, or the crunch of an Oreo cookie combined with its smooth center. With natural unprocessed foods, you tend to experience the same sensation over and over. How's that 17th bite of kale taste? After a few minutes, your brain loses interest and you begin to feel full. Feel full. But foods that are high in dynamic contrast keep the experience novel and interesting, encouraging you to eat more. Ultimately, such strategies enable food scientists to find the bliss point for each product, the precise combination of salt, sugar, and fat that excites your brain and keeps you coming back for more. The result, of course, is that you overeat because hyper-palatable foods are more attractive to the human brain. As Stephen Gyonet, a neuroscientist who specializes in eating behavior and obesity, says, we have gotten too good at pushing our own buttons. The modern food industry and the overeating habits it has spawned is just one example of the second law of behavior change. Make it attractive. The more attractive an opportunity, the more likely it is to become habit forming. Look around. Society is filled with highly engineered versions of reality that are more attractive than the world our ancestors evolved in. Stores feature mannequins with exaggerated hips and breasts to sell clothes. Social media delivers more likes and praises in a few minutes than we could ever get in the office or at home. Online porn spills together stimulating scenes at a rate that would be impossible to replicate in real life. Advertisements are created with a combination of ideal lighting, professional makeup, and photoshopped edits. Even the model doesn't look like the person in the final image. These are supernormal stimuli of our modern world. They exaggerate features that are naturally attractive to us, and our instincts go wild as a result, driving us into excessive shopping habits, social media habits, porn habits, eating habits, and many more. If history serves as a guide, the opportunities of the future will be more attractive than those of today. The trend is for rewards to become more concentrated and stimuli to become more enticing. Junk food is a more concentrated form of calories than natural food. Hard liquor is a more concentrated form of alcohol than beer. Video games are a more concentrated form of play than board games. Compared to nature, these pleasure-packed experiences are hard to resist. We have the brains of our ancestors, but temptations they never had to face. If you want to increase the odds that a behavior will occur, then you need to make it attractive. Throughout a discussion of the second law of our goal is to learn how to make our habits irresistible. While it is not possible to transform every habit into a supernormal stimulus, we can make any habit more enticing. To do this, we must start by understanding what a craving is and how it works. We begin by examining a biological signature that all habits share, the dopamine spike. The dopamine-driven feedback loop. Scientists can track the precise movement a craving occurs by measuring a neurotransmitter called dopamine. The importance of dopamine became apparent in 1954 when the neuroscientists James Olds and Peter Milner ran an experiment that revealed the neurological processes behind craving and desires. By implanting electrodes in the brains of rats, the researchers blocked the release of dopamine. To the surprise of the scientists, the rats lost all will to live. They wouldn't eat, they wouldn't have sex, they didn't crave anything. Within a few days, the animals died of thirst. The follow-up studies other scientists In the follow-up studies, other scientists also inhibited the dopamine releasing parts of the brain. But this time, they squirted little droplets of sugar into the mouths of the dopamine depleted rats. Their little rat faces lit up with pleasurable grins from from the tasty substance. Even though dopamine was blocked, they liked the sugar just as much as before. They didn't want it anymore. The ability to experience pleasure remained, but without dopamine, desire died. And without desire, action stopped. When other researchers reversed the process and flooded the reward system of the brain with dopamine, animals performed habits at breakneck speed. In one study, mice received a powerful hit of dopamine each time they poked their nose into a box. Within minutes, the mice developed a craving so strong they began poking their nose into the box 800 times per hour. Humans are not so different. The average slot machine player will spin the wheel 600 times per hour. Habits are a dopamine driven feedback loop. Every behavior that is highly habit forming, taking drugs, eating junk food, playing video games, browsing social media, is associated with higher levels of dopamine. The same can be said for our most basic habitual behaviors like eating food, drinking water, having sex, and interacting socially. For years, scientists assumed dopamine was all about pleasure, but now we know it plays a central role in many neurological processes, including motivation, learning and memory, punishment and aversion, and voluntary movement. When it comes to habits, the key takeaway is this: dopamine is released not only when you experience pleasure, but also when you anticipate it. Gambling addicts have a dopamine spike right before they place a bet, not after they win. Cocaine addicts get a surge of dopamine when they see the powder, not after they take it. Whenever you predict that an opportunity will be rewarding, your levels of dopamine spike in anticipation. And whenever dopamine rises, so does your motivation to act. It is the anticipation of a reward, not the fulfillment of it, that gets us into action. Interestingly, the reward system that is activated in the brain when you receive a reward is the same system that is activated when you anticipate a reward. This is one reason the anticipation of an experience can often feel better than the attainment of it. As a child, thinking about Christmas morning can be better than opening the gifts. As an adult, daydreaming about an upcoming vacation can be more enjoyable than actually being on vacation. Scientists refer to this as the difference between wanting and liking, the dopamine spike. So, before a habit is learned, dopamine is released when the reward is experienced for the first time. The next time around, dopamine rises before taking the action, immediately after a cue is recognized. This spike leads to a feeling of desire and a craving to take action whenever the cue is spotted. Once a habit is learned, dopamine will not rise when a reward is experienced because you already expected the reward. However, if you see a cue, if you see a cue and expect a reward but do not get one, then dopamine will drop in disappointment. The sensitivity of the dopamine response can clearly be seen when a reward is provided late. First, the cue is identified and dopamine rises as a craving builds. Next, a response is taken, but the reward does not come as quickly as expected, and the dopamine begins to drop. Finally, when the reward comes a little later than you had hoped, dopamine spikes again. It is as if the brain is saying, "See, I knew I was right. Don't forget to repeat this action next time." That's the figure D. Okay.
Just wondering, I feel like we should pause here and maybe reflect on all of this.
Yeah.
Now, what are you getting? So I know that, I've often heard of dopamine, and read and all of that. It looks like some serious thinking needs to go into this to really actually make those important. Of course, with health or exercise, for example, or even wealth creation, there is delayed gratification, right? There is no immediate result. So,
But then not the tough part. If we are trying to set up habits and we are trying to stack one after another, I know the long term benefit is that I'm going to be healthy and I'm going to have, uh, a very sexy body if I exercise and etc. etc. if I eat healthy. So every cue that I create must give me that dopamine rush to do the action. That's what I think he's saying, right? That cue should enable me to do that action, that now you have to get up and go out and work out and then eat healthy. I think that's where the problem lies because of the delayed, you know, uh, uh, result. Results should be faster.
but it isn't.
This is very tricky.
Come on, Garima.
Yeah.
I wish.
I know we all wish.
And this is where we fail, but at the same time,
Yes.
there is no way of shortening it.
I have something different.
Yes, Meenal, please go ahead.
A very different point actually. I was listening to Simon Sinek. One video I was listening to, and he was talking about addiction and how to, so a lot of points about addiction here in book also. He was saying that dopamine release is a very much connected to the habits, and a lot of habits, like lot of addictions, you have a age limit. You for marriage, you have like porn and marriage and sex, you have age limit. But for social media, there is no age limit. A 3-year-old, maybe 1-year-old also has mobile in their hands, and they know how to open mobile, unlock mobile, and watch their kid friendly, whatever. But then they are getting addicted because of dopamine. Lot of games which kids play, and they get super addicted. Fast addiction generate, they are addiction generating, and whole group in a, मतलब suppose classroom है या फिर society है, तो all kids get addicted to some game because it's highly rewarding, dopamine release. And I think there is no age limit for that habit. So I don't know how to decode or interpret this. But then just now we were saying about dopamine, so I just remembered that Simon Sinek's video. Very scary actually. Never thought in that.
Is it
I
because
have
it's a group? Sorry, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I have certain thoughts on what Meenal just shared. So Meenal was talking about age limits, but age limits are, like an external restrainer. Now they can, whether they're successful or not, that's debatable. That's another topic of discussion altogether. But yeah, they do help. But the thing with, why we get addicted to certain bad habits, or why it's easy to acquire bad habits, is because the dopamine release, when it activates the brain centers, you tend to get that in a very short period of time. And currently, like in the world that we live in today, what has happened is, unknowingly, this particular center, the reward center of the brain, has tended to crave for it more and more, and it has easy access to that in the form of a like or a comment on a post on your social media and things like that. These things seem very harmless on the surface, but then it's really sort of playing with the biochemistry of your brain is what I think. And that is why all these studies about dopamine and things kind of come into play. Anything that gives you a short a dopamine release or a reward in the short term, almost instantaneously will obviously turn into a bad habit. So to take from what he has been talking about cues, and what I think also Garima or Sheetal, you mentioned at the beginning of this discussion, I think what we need to do is we need to turn these cues in such a way that they release, that on viewing them or in engaging them, we also sort of have a dopamine release. And that would be a good way, that would
But
be one
how?
of the strategies. Yeah, that's what, it's not easy. Of course, it's not easy, because anything, I mean, acquiring bad habits is
Actually,
easy and acquiring good habits is very difficult. So the
It's that
opposite,
kale and salt thing,
uh,
right? Kale will not taste good, but the salty chips will taste better.
exactly.
So,
But then I don't know if it's not
where
going to
the
be
rewards
easy.
are far.
It's not going to be easy, but if you kind of keep, maybe persist with associating kale with good habit, it's possible that the taste you may also endure with the taste, because that is since you mentioned kale, and you're mentioning something to do with taste, I have had a similar experience on this front. So when I was a kid, my mom used to tell me to like have this particular medicine, Ayurvedic medicine with neem in it, but I used to hate it because of course neem is so bitter. And I did not have neem for a very, very long time, although I knew that it has its benefits and it might be good. But over the past 1 year or so, I have suddenly started consuming neem juice. The first time I had it, it was very difficult because I just couldn't bear the taste. But my association with that was very strong. I was like, it has to do with my health and with certain goals that I have. And I have my neem juice every day without fail now. Like the taste does not really matter to me.
no, so you're right. Even when I was a teenager, I remember I had neem water for like what 4 or 5 years every day to have a glowing skin. But I think somebody told me, because I was trying to start into the healthy thing. One of my friends also told me, try and keep an older picture of yourself, in frame somewhere, so that it motivates you that this is you, who you were, and this is what you can be. तो मैंने कहा यार मैं तो डिप्रेशन में चली गई उस फोटो को देख करके, because forget the working out. I was like, I actually got into depression that, oh my God, I have gained so much weight. So it didn't work out. I think that cue with me didn't work out. So,
don't worry, guys. Don't worry. This book will solve our issues and it will answer the questions, okay? Because the upcoming pages will talk about how to make our habits more attractive. That's what this chapter is dedicated to, making it attractive. So I just went through the next few pages, and it does talk about, creating tempting. Yeah, it says something here. So don't worry, the answers how to use temptation bundling. We shall have to trick ourselves. We will be playing tricks on ourselves all the time. So I think when we finish this chapter, we will come to.
I would like to add on one thing here.
Yes.
I'm sorry, today I think my network is bad. I went out multiple times and joined back. Okay, I don't know. Half I listened. Okay, one thing, since we were discussing on the cue, what is the strong cue which can help us? One thing which helped me, one of the challenge I used to have was getting up early. I used to sleep through like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Weekends used to be much later and all. But these days now, 3-4 years consistently before 5 o'clock. And this year my target was get up around 4:15, 4:30, even without alarm. On your own, you have to get up, right? So I've been able to achieve that. So what has really helped me, that is, I started working on visualization. If I get up, whatever I want to do, I will just visualize. These are the good things which is going to happen to me. That just used to kick the dopamine. Actually, as though I'm experiencing it myself, that used to be a trigger point for me. So then finally, when I get up, it was more, I used to do meditation and yoga, and I used to think, okay, these are going to help me and benefit me. And through the process, I was just connecting with myself. That was very critical. So, and I always used to tell, don't worry, when you do this, all of this is doing for yourself, right? So it is going to help you on a long run. So though there is delayed gratification, I was not seeing any benefit as such immediately, but that feel of I'm getting up and all this time is only for me, and maybe at the end of it I'm going to get something good. So just feeling and visualizing itself was actually helping me to go on with it, and that really helped me. So the same trick actually I've been trying to do on multiple other habits whichever I want to pick up. So that visualization part, that cue actually I got through that 5 a.m. club book is there, right? There also visualization is a critical thing they talk about, right? So the initial few hours, and that's the time for yourself, whatever you want to do for yourself, just start trying out early in the morning. And visualization was one key thing. So that has helped me. So I don't know if somebody can really, having struggling probably visualizing that you are actually doing it and what's the benefit you are getting out of it may help actually.
We'll try, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, actually, as children, I remember I used to be told कि कुछ चाहिए ना, so you tell the pillow in the night that wake me up at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, and you will by default get up because then you're so excited. It's like when you're going for when you're going for a
Garima, I do that actually today every day when I sleep now. I say now I'm just going forget about whatever happened. This is exactly what I tell it to myself. Whatever has happened today is done deal. I'm just going to become a child now and sleep like a child, no matter what is going on in the world. So morning, I'm going to be so prepared and get up because I would have had a beautiful sleep. That's what I say. And I will give myself time between 4:30 and I'll wake up on my own because I would have just had a peaceful sleep. I just have this internal conversation within me, and you won't even believe. Initially I thought I'm a fool. I'm trying to do all of these things. I don't know how much it will work and all, but I kept on doing it every day. Right, last 6 months. I have been getting up every day, no matter whether it's a weekday or weekend, without alarm around that time. So, but one thing I tell is, okay, to make that happen, it's not that I want to, let go of my sleep, right? So I have to ensure that I sleep by 10:30, 11 maximum, right? If it is beyond that, then I'm not, helping myself. It's not a healthy way of trying to pressurize myself. So those are some things. So talking to myself, visualization, those things are really helping me to I didn't know that was supposed to be something like a cue, but now when I'm reading the book, actually I'm trying to map into those things. Probably that kind of works, exciting yourself by your own cues.
You can give us a call in the morning.
I can do that. Sheetal knows that I get up early in the morning. Who all needs to call me?
Yeah,
actually,
yeah, and I'm pretty serious about that. I think I should talk to myself,
Yeah, we should.
And when I say talk to myself, I should really tell myself, like, there is no third person, there is no second person in my environment, right? When I maybe wake up or don't want to wake up or whatever, or I don't want to, I look at the yoga mat and I say, like, I don't want to work out, but then I should be the sensible person who tell, like, literally I should speak it out that why I'm doing what for. Okay, I feel like इतना intense हो गया है अब तो. If we want to break certain old habits, then we must talk sense to ourselves, and if we just be quiet, then I think we just give in, and our mind can play tricks, and our mind will then what the mind is saying, these are all our mood and thoughts and feelings, right? But the sensible person that I am should talk sense into me, saying that why I chose to put the yoga mat down. And literally I tell myself, right? I mean, I don't know how else it'll work otherwise, right? Because I can't be talking myself out of doing the exact thing I say I want to do because I desire X thing, right? So yeah,
yes, I think I mean, continue with whatever you're saying, Sheetal. Yeah, the affirmations which I've started doing for myself, when I brush, actually, before, when the cue is picking up the brush, right, then I look at myself in the mirror and tell out all the positive labels, like, okay, so it's appreciating myself. I don't know, in the other session also I'd mentioned, like, Raji, I've just picked up positive labels for every letter in my name. Like, for R stands for radiant, so I have to do these things so that I become a radiant person. A is for ambitious, so I do these things to, so like that I picked up every letter, and that becomes my affirmation. So when I pick up my brush, I tell all those affirmations looking at myself in the mirror. Only after that I start brushing. So when I'm actually brushing, the mind is actually visualizing whatever I called out for myself, right? So these are the ways I'm triggering myself, affirmations and visualization, to force me out of all the negative things which I used to think through earlier. So that's really helping me a lot. Hence, I thought I will share with all of you. If anybody wants to try it out, I think you should just give it a shot. Maybe, thoda idhar udhar, it may be a different flavor and essence for each of us, but cue is to start looking at those kind of things.
Nice. Remember, I said I want to do the face yoga. So I found the small mirror, which I've kept right in front of me, right? And everything that I need to apply on my face sits on the table. So then this is the perfect place, because I don't have like a dressing table set up here. So another thing I think I'm picking up from Raji is that, okay, I want to do a certain mirror exercise that I picked up from Priyanka, she shares. So yeah, when I when I get ready to brush my teeth, then, or freshen myself up, then okay, that's the cue to do the mirror. Otherwise it's really, really random at this point, and it's a small 1-minute exercise I try and do. So yeah, thanks so much. What are some cues you guys are taking back from today's discussion? Everybody who's been here listening, what are you guys taking back? Let's hear.
No, I think I like your thing that I have to talk to myself before I get in bed. When I get in bed, maybe, it's part of the extended gratitude, and mentally plan my day. Maybe that, like Raji mentioned, I'm getting a restful sleep, and then, aim to get up. And second thing, I think we must try that. At least I must try affirmations. I think I need them. That self boost will also help me. I'm going to try the affirmations, Raji. I absolutely will.
Yeah, I think all of us should do this exercise. I'm just suggesting, whatever is our name, pick up positive labels for every letter of your name and post it in the group. And once you do that, and what I've seen is, starting of my year, what used to be there, I used to call myself as robust Raji. Later on, over the year, I've identified myself as radiant Raji. So over the time, it changes. No matter what, as long as it is positive, because always when something goes wrong, we go all the way to curse ourselves, right? But very rarely we go and appreciate ourselves. So why don't you start your day with all positive thing about yourself? That itself is a great dopamine, because don't wait for somebody to appreciate you. You do self-appreciation and get started. That's what I feel.
Got that. Thank you. Okay, we are at 7 p.m. now. So thank you all for joining in, and do share in the book club. If this was your first time, then share how it was and what are you taking on. And as we read the book, we're going slow with this book. Why? Because we want to really implement the steps we are learning, whatever it is. It's, if not 100%, can it be 1%, 5%? Hence we're taking it slow, but really internalizing this entire book. So encouraging you to do that, and keep sharing your insights, wins and failures, everything in the Telegram group. And so today we read chapter 8. So let's continue with chapter 8 and 9. And we continue to share, and we all meet next week, 6 p.m. on Friday. And if you'd like your friends to join the book club, then do invite them in as well. Okay. So so it's going to be, we started with 8. So 8, and we continue with 8 and 9, Neenal?
Second law, basically. We'll complete the second law.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I rate 7 and 8 this week, so maybe 9 and 10, I thought.
Oh, okay. We were reading 6 and 7. We're a little behind, you know. 'Cause- all right, and it's all right to move ahead. And of course, for anybody who's joining new, then it's okay wherever you are. Just continue reading and showing up, and keep sharing. Okay, and keep sharing the cues, guys, because I think those are very critical. The cues we are creating in our environment and whatever transformation we are bringing in. So, thank you all. Lovely weekend to everybody. Have fun, and we'll see you again. Lots of love. Bye bye, everyone. Take care.